Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's another all new news roundup that we've got in store for you today. Following yesterday's transfer deadline day, they are mainly taking up the headlines from the past 24 hours or so, and we're going to basically go back over some of the biggest dealings that happened over that period of time. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe for new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back to talking about some of the biggest news headlines from the world of football from the past 24 hours or so. Kicking off with a story that we've talked about a lot over this summer, but it finally reached a conclusion yesterday, and it is regarding the Spanish midfielder known as Saul Niguez. Yes, we're diving headfirst into the news, and we're talking about a deal, or a saga rather, that has been on and off throughout the entirety of the summer that finally reached its conclusion yesterday, and it is that Chelsea have signed Saul Niguez on loan. It was, like I say, it was an on and off story throughout the entirety of the summer surrounding Saul Niguez. A number of clubs were linked with him, but in the end, he did eventually manage to secure a move away from Atletico. Atletico were willing to give him up and sell him on, and a number of clubs are willing to go in for him. But the one that survived and the one that got their wish was Chelsea, as Chelsea and the Spanish club managed to strike up a deal in the very latter stages of deadline day. A deal that was said to be worth €5 million for the loan fee, and then there's an option to buy clause in there as well, of rumoured to be €40 million come the end of his loan. And despite it taking all day to complete and all night to complete, it even reached beyond the 11 o'clock deadline. But obviously, due to the relevant paperwork and procedures being fulfilled before that time period expired and the window shut, it was soon made official close to midnight last night that Saul Niguez was going to be moving to Stamford Bridge to Chelsea on loan. The Spanish midfielder was obviously linked with a number of clubs over the summer, like I mentioned. There was Liverpool, there was Manchester United, and there was Barcelona. But he finally found his new club for at least this season in Chelsea. For the Blues, it's a really great signing, this one. I'm a really big fan of Saul Niguez. It really does boost their midfield in terms of both quality and in terms of depth. And overall for Chelsea, it's been a great transfer window, hasn't it? They got their main priority of a striker. They've got a central midfielder now. A centre-back, or in this case, Jules Koundé, would have been the icing on the cake. It would have been perfect, a perfect window for them. But they also did strengthen in two of the three places and targets that they really did need to get, I believe, in this transfer window. So 2 out of 3 isn't exactly bad, and certainly does boost their chances of potentially a very successful season ahead for Thomas Tuchel's side. Like I said, I'm just annoyed that Liverpool didn't get Saul Niguez here, but Chelsea managed to do it. Chelsea managed to get this deal over the line in just the nick of time before the deadline was set to expire. Saul Niguez is officially a Chelsea player for at least the forthcoming season. And our next story brings us to another transfer that got done very, very late last night, cutting it very fine to get this one done and dusted. It was a case of 1 in and 1 out at Atletico, as Antoine Griezmann has made his return to Atletico on loan. It's been a summer that has seen some big returns this past transfer window. We've already seen Romelu Lukaku return to Stamford Bridge to Chelsea, and of course we're going to see Cristiano Ronaldo return to Old Trafford and return to Manchester United. And on deadline day, right at the 11th hour, cutting it very fine to get this transfer over the line. That rhymed. Atletico Madrid completed the loan move and the return of one Antoine Griezmann from Barcelona. The French attacker left Atletico to join Barcelona back in 2019, but things haven't exactly panned out the way that he might have been expecting with the Spanish Giants. It's being said that Griezmann returns on loan for the season and has an obligatory to buy clause at the end of it, somewhere in the region of €40 million, it's being said. Earlier this transfer window, there were question marks over his future with the club. There was talk back then of Griezmann returning to Barcelona as some sort of move that would see Saul Niguez go in the opposite direction. Obviously, that didn't materialise, but very, very, very late last night, Atletico managed to secure the loan move of the French attacker, the 30-year-old. He is back with Diego Simeone, he is back with Atletico, back with the current La Liga champions, and I'm sure that he'll be hoping to pick up where he left off in an Atletico shirt. Speaking of teams that had a 1 in and 1 out yesterday, that brings us to Arsenal. They were another side that had that similar kind of thing happen to them yesterday, as they signed defender Takahiro Tomyasu from Bologna. The Japanese international can play as either a right back or a centre back, and is said to have joined the Gunners for just under £20 million on a 4-year deal. You may remember earlier this transfer window, Tomyasu was reportedly a target of Arsenal's fierce rivals Tottenham throughout the summer, but they seemingly switched targets to Barcelona's Emerson Royal, who they completed the signing of yesterday. Tomyasu's arrival comes as Arsenal see the departure of one Hector Bellerin, as the Spanish right-back secured a loan move away from the Gunners. He'll be going back to Spain to play for Real Betis this season. Our next story surrounds Serge Aurier. He has had his contract with Tottenham terminated by mutual consent, as the right-back is now a free agent, an official free agent. The 28-year-old has seemingly been in the shop window for Tottenham throughout the course of this summer, but no suitors were found for the Ivory Coast international. Aurier signed for Spurs back in 2017, spending 4 years with the club, and he was entering the final year of his contract this season, so would have been a free agent anyway at the end of the campaign. But it seems that he doesn't fit in with Nuno Espirito Santo's plans going forward with the club, especially after Tottenham completed the signing of right-back Emerson Royal from Barcelona yesterday. And rather than keep him and pay him over the course of this season just to release him as a free agent anyway at the end of it, Spurs and Aurier had decided to tear up his contract, releasing the player, and is therefore able to join any club he wishes and desires beyond transfer deadline day as a free agent. Will be interesting to see where the right back's future does lie. Next up, we come to Liverpool, and Liverpool may not have made any signings yesterday and may have only made just the one new addition to their squad over the course of the summer, but yesterday there were a few contract signings that went down. We talked yesterday about Jordan Henderson pledging his long-term future to the club, and throughout the day, a couple more players committed their futures to Anfield and Liverpool as well. The first being Nat Phillips. It was kind of expected that he would leave Liverpool to this season to seek more first-team football opportunities. We understand that Brighton were interested in signing him after the departure of their Ben White to Arsenal, but that obviously didn't materialise at all. Phillips was a big and a surprising part of Liverpool's season last campaign during the Reds' injury crisis that saw that heavily impact the centre-back area in particular, and he certainly impressed for the Reds and was well respected for his role and his conduct during that time with the club. But the likes of Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk in particular, returning from their long-term injuries, and the addition of Ibrahima Konate over the course of this summer, has signalled that first-team football wouldn't be something that Phillips would be getting a lot of this season in comparison to last season. But he's quite surprisingly, in my opinion at least, signed a new long-term deal with the club. Whether this is to protect the investment that Liverpool have within Phillips, or maybe it's to bump up the price tag somewhere down the line for when they do eventually sell him, or maybe he actually does feature in Jurgen Klopp's plans. I don't exactly know what the thought process is behind this, but it is what it is, I'm sure. And the other contract signing to occur yesterday was that of Reece Williams, another one who stepped up last season for the Reds, alongside Phillips, what he did. It wasn't perfect. He's still very young. He's still a little rough around the edges. but did very well given the difficult task at hand that was pretty much handed to him last season. He pledges his long-term future at the club at the same time that he also secures a loan move away from Liverpool to go and join Championship side Swansea for this season. So best of luck to him. Elsewhere, Salomon Rondon is back in the Premier League. You know how some managers just like certain players and take them with them wherever they go. For example, we always took the mick at Takahiro Tomyasu for always wanting to sign Nico Crenshaw wherever he went. It didn't matter if he had the kind of Manchester City PSG money. We'd always make the joke that he would always sign Nico Crenshaw as one of his first signings. Well, we have another example of that right here in Salomon Rondon, because he has signed for Everton on deadline day from Chinese club Dalian, and he once again reunites and crosses paths with manager Rafael Benitez. The pair were obviously together during Benitez's time with Newcastle, and when the Spanish manager did move on to go and manage Dalian in China, he obviously took Rondon with him there, and now he's back, and now he's at Everton. He's brought him wherever he's gone, and Everton have got a new striker within their squad in Rondon. So, you know what? Fair play to Benitez. He clearly likes him and he's clearly took him wherever he wants to go. Next, we come to some of the biggest transfers that occurred yesterday and were completed. Juventus completed the loan signing of Moise Kean. Leicester signed Ademola Lookman on loan from RB Leipzig. Eduardo Camavinga completed his move to Real Madrid. We talked about that a bit yesterday. Dan James secured his move to Leeds United. West Ham signed Nikola Vlasic. Hudson Edouard completed his move to Crystal Palace from Scottish side Celtic. And Barcelona signed Luke de Jong from Sevilla. And finally, a quick word on one Kylian Mbappe. It was said yesterday that Real Madrid put in a last-ditch attempt to try and sign the French superstar after putting in a €200 million bid for him. However, it was neither accepted or declined by PSG. It was just rather ignored by the French club. But they do get their wish, because after the deadline expired, it now means that Mbappe will see out the remainder of his contract with the French club and they get to keep him for this season. It is now extremely likely that Madrid will return for Mbappe in January, where he is then able to sign a pre-contract agreement with any club that he chooses, as he will be a free transfer at the end of the year, and it is extremely likely that he will become a Real Madrid player next season on a free transfer. I'm struggling to understand why PSG wouldn't cash in on him now. It's unlikely that Mbappe is going to perform a major U-turn here and re-sign with PSG, pledging his long-term future with the club. So, unless they're extremely confident that they can convince him to change his mind, I don't understand why you wouldn't cash in on him for the 180 million to 200 million euros or whatever it was that was being talked about between PSG and Real Madrid as a transfer fee for the 22-year-old. Just baffles me that you wouldn't cash in on him while you have the opportunity, rather than very much take a massive risk of him staying on, which is unlikely to happen. The financial side at PSG, particularly over this past summer, where obviously their transfer dealings have highlighted this more to me, seem to suggest that there's already something suspicious going on there. I don't understand how you can have all them star players, all that big money, and not be looked into, and everything seem very normal in terms of the financial situation at PSG. But then again, like anyone cares anymore, everyone's just buying and selling who they want for the amount of money that they choose, and no one seems to be checking out this kind of thing, so who cares? Anyway, I digress. Basically, the upside to this story is that if Mbappe remains professional and he continues to play on this summer of this season, we will finally get to see a forward three of Neymar, Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe, and that is a terrifying prospect for every defence, particularly in those in the French League and, of course, their opponents in the Champions League. But of course, as they always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the news stories that I talked about in this video? Mainly about yesterday's deadline day. What do you make of any of the new signings? What do you make of Saul Niguez's loan move to Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, and the return of Antoine Griezmann? a new right back at Arsenal, Liverpool's new contract signings, Salomon Rondon reuniting with Rafael Benitez, any of the new transfers that happened yesterday, and what do you make of the Kylian Mbappe situation as well. I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section, because I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated, and as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.